Hey, college football fans, I'm Doug Kazarian. Does the perceived lack of drama down the home stretch of the season make playoff expansion more or less desirable? We touch on that and much more on the latest Championship Drive podcast.
I thought it was interesting, Dwyane talking last night about how weird all of that was and how much he wanted it to end. He was like a Kardashian all night in terms of people swirling around him even more than they usually are, given his fame. Went to the game last night with Stugotz. That's a funny experience.
I had fun with you last night.
I had fun with you, too. We were there with the Jimmy V auction winners, and Stugotz is awful. And it's funny. He's just shouting at the end, home cooking.
Wow.
And I don't even know what he's talking about. There was a call against Wade, or a call that went in Wade's favor.
Yeah, there was a call that went in Wade's favor. It should have been Heat ball. Heat with a chance, I think, to tie that game or even take the lead in that game. And it was straight home cooking. It just was. It was obvious. Home cooking. Because, Dan, Dwyane Wade, I think the referees, it was like a home game for Dwyane Wade last night. It really was. It was like a home game for the Bulls last night. I mean, the ovations were that loud and people were cheering for him. Now, towards the end with that call, people were very upset because it was a lousy call. But it felt like home cooking to me. It felt like the referees wanted Wade to get a victory in his return to home. And that was the home cooking.
All right. Was that home cooking, and is Stugotz even using the phrase home cooking correctly? Because the useless cliche of home cooking is that you get calls at home.
Well, this is Wade's home.
No, but you were shouting it at other times, too. That didn't make any sense.
That's just because I was drunk.
You were shouting it when Jimmy Butler got a call. So all the calls that went the Bulls' way were home cooking?
Well, again, it was like a de facto home game for the Chicago Bulls. It was. It wasn't a home game for the Heat last night. It was a home game for the Bulls, and everyone wanted to see Wade have some feel good. If that meant making ridiculous calls for Jimmy Butler, and so be it. I mean, that's the way I felt last night. I felt like they wanted Wade to win that game. He gave us a lousy performance, man. And he really did. I mean, you go there, you want to see Wade. You want to see vintage Wade. He gave us 5 of 17.
Yeah, he wasn't very good last night.
Yeah.
He was totally disoriented.
Mm-hmm.
Texture writes in, excellent lead-in. Rest in peace, Leonard. Mike Ryan does his own show musically within the show, and it's one of the layers to the show. And so you should pay attention to Mike Ryan's musical selections. He looks funny today. What is the character in Fifth Element, for the Chris Tucker character? What is that character's name?
Ruby Rod. Ruby Rod.
So are you done with makeup and everything? Or?
I am done. This is Ruby Rod, while he dresses quite extravagantly, he actually doesn't wear that much makeup. So just a little lip gloss, a little eyeshadow, really bring out the cheeks a little bit. That was actually what I do every day anyways.
Right. So you can check that out on ESPNU in 45 minutes. Also something that you could check out. Stugotz is going to be doing it all show today. How do people find this on Facebook? What Mike?
They go to our official Facebook, and some people might have trouble finding that. But if you have Twitter, we're tweeting out links directly to it. So at Batard Show, if you're having trouble tracking us down by merely searching us on Facebook.
Stugotz is likely to be worse than usual because of this, because he's intoxicated by, hearts and people liking things that he's doing. And so
a lot of smiley faces, man.
I'm really surprised we're doing this again, because the first time we did it was a punishment. Now, he doesn't have to hold the selfie stick the entire show like he had to do the last time, but this could be distracting for him. He loves all the extra attention.
No, not could be. It's going to be, but that's okay. Like we'll make this trade for a while as an experiment to see if we could build an audience on Facebook, understanding that Stugotz is likely to be worse, and sometimes when Stugotz is worse, it makes everything better.
Mike, I selected it from the Grid of Death because it was anything but a punishment to me. It was intoxicating to me. It was my own show. I mean, here's the punishment, Stugotz. Have your own 4-hour show. Okay.
How about this? Mike Ryan, in classic psychological peer pressure warfare, suckered another generation of Golic into stupidity. So Golic's kid lost at the Grid of Death. Have you heard this story?
Oh, Guillermo told me a little bit about it.
Mike Golic Jr. is absolutely representing his family well, and when I say well, I mean poorly, but well, symbolically, by falling into this Mike Ryan 6-year-old trap. So Mike Golic Jr. has the Dallas Stars. That's an evil helmet, man. That's taken out 3 people so far. And 4 people?
It just took out its 4th victim.
It took out Greg Cody with an 8-2 loss. The Dallas Stars were overwhelming last year. That's why it was supposed to be a good helmet. It's been drawn 4 times, and the Dallas Stars have lost every time it's been drawn.
Amin got hit with it.
Everybody who's pulled it. It's evil, that helmet. And so he lost with the Dallas Stars, and he had to go to the grid of death. And so what he selected, he said, after much deliberation, I've selected the Gumby. I'm going to dress as Gumby. And Mike Ryan rode him into the ground. You're a Golic, man. You got to take an eating challenge. The Golics do eating challenges. Like, you don't do this easy dress up in a costume challenge.
Your dad would be so disappointed in you.
And so Golic Jr. is now going to drink the entire bottle of A1 steak sauce, which is the thing on there that we were all fearing.
Yes. I mean, great strategy,
The
Mike.
hero you need.
I mean, unbelievable. The way,
Perfect.
just excellent work by Mike Ryan.
Yeah. I mean, the Gumby, all he has to do is paint his face green, essentially. That's it for an entire show.
And wear a comfortable costume.
Right. Great job, Mikey.
Is the steak sauce is the steak sauce the worst thing on?
Oh, yes. In fact, I had to reduce it to 10 fluid ounces because I'm pretty sure 12 would kill you. So I did some researching. I was like, although Golic I'm going to dare Golic. I'm like, I gave you 10, but I'm pretty sure you can handle 12. And he'd be like, yeah, sure, let's do it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can handle 400 ounces of steak sauce.
He has become an expert at this because I didn't want to shave my head. I didn't want to do the donut challenge. Mike got in my ear right before. He just pressures you. He taps into something. So for me, it was, hey, you're about to embarrass me, Dan, and the entire show and all of South Florida. And what am I supposed to do in that spot? I caved in. I said yes.
I mean, have conviction. And,
yeah, but I don't have that.
Okay. I mean, don't cave into peer pressure. When you ask the question, what are you supposed to do? Don't cave into peer pressure.
All right. Well, not my arsenal, Dan. I've been caving into peer pressure my entire life.
Is my appraisal of this different than the people who were at the game last night? I thought all of that felt wrong. Wrap it in nostalgia, put it on the video board. It's a nice warm moment you put up. You remind everybody he's the team leader in wins, championships, points, assists, steals, games played.
It should have just said team leader in everything.
Team leader in everything. And all of it felt wrong to me. All of it felt wrong and furthermore unnecessary because it didn't happen. Didn't have to happen. And I found out some stuff in talking to people over the last couple of days. This relationship, there was an exact breaking point on this relationship.
Really?
Yes, with Wade and Riley. There were some issues about, is Dwyane being a diva for a couple of years? But the breaking point, and obviously if they thought it would be that bad, they wouldn't have offered him 2 years, $40 million and risked him accepting it, even though it was in some part a public relations move to allow them to look like they were trying their hardest. This whole thing broke apart on Kevin Durant. The whole thing. Wade was firm in, nope, not helping you and don't want him here.
Wow.
And you're not going to have me making the sacrifices so that you guys can prioritize someone else.
I mean, that's just confusing to me from this standpoint. Why wouldn't you want Kevin Durant and a chance to? I know he wants to be the priority. Is that it?
No, it's not the priority. It's I'm done with the financial sacrifices that you guys want me to make, and I'm done being. You're going to give the money to Hassan, and you're going to give it to everybody else. And this, I'm done taking less and trusting so that you guys can get Kevin Durant, because I'm not positive that my trust is going to be rewarded the way that Dallas rewarded Dirk Nowitzki's trust. When he keeps saying, when you keep reading from him, man, I know Pat Riley. He's an assassin. He's a businessman. That's the best way that he could say what it is that I'm saying now, which is, I know Pat Riley. I won't be getting my money down the line. Now, I don't agree with him on that.
Right.
Pat Riley was telling everybody, I'm going to give him his money at the end. We're going to give him the Dirk Nowitzki golden parachute.
Maybe Riley thought the very end. He didn't think this was the end.
No, at the very end, not now.
Right.
It wasn't now.
Yeah.
It was not now. It was at the very end. But clearly, Dwyane did not trust that to be so.
Interesting.
Wade did not trust, verbal agreements, spoken. No, he wasn't trusting any of it. And so that is the breaking point on everything. The recruitment of Kevin Durant, and that's another one of these situations where you can see both sides, because selfishly the fans are going to say, oh, come on, Dwyane. Like, of course you want to get Kevin Durant.
Well, I'm thinking that right now. Like, it's basically Dwyane telling you, I'm not interested in winning championships anymore, because that team could get out of the East.
They couldn't go into the meeting. They thought that Kevin Durant was legitimately interested, but became not interested when he looked around the room and is like, you guys have total uncertainty on Chris Bosh, and you guys don't have Dwyane Wade's endorsement. It's obvious that you guys do not. I haven't heard from Dwyane. It's clear that you don't have Dwyane in on any of this. So he's walking into a room and they're doing sales pitch. They're not giving him anything that feels concrete.
Yeah, I just saw the entire Boston Celtics team and the New England Patriots, by the way, too. And you can't get Dwyane Wade.
No, but that's where it broke apart, because Riley thought, and
right.
this stuff is so complicated, man. I don't know who is responsible for whom's success there, but clearly they both think that they're responsible for the success of the other. Wade thinks he's really responsible for the success of Riley here in Miami, and Riley thinks he's really responsible for the success of Wade here in Miami. And at the end, Riley wanted a partner. And Wade was saying, I'm done being a partner on this. Pay me. I'm done. And I get both sides.
Yeah, I guess I do too. Especially if you're Wade and you're like, hey, and I think that's part of it. Like, you didn't get LeBron to come here. You didn't get Bosh to come here. I did. You got all the credit for it, but I'm the guy who got those two to come down here and play with us.
Oh, but see, that even there, they don't agree. They don't agree on anything.
Really?
Stugotz, Pat Riley and the Miami Heat organization, the first time the idea of LeBron came up, Dwyane was saying, LeBron won't come here. The first time the idea of that, and Riley had to clear the salary cap space anyway. The first time that conversation made an appearance, it was not Dwyane bringing it to them. It was him saying to them, LeBron won't come here.
Dan, was there any sort of creative bookkeeping that they could have done with Dwyane, like something a couple of years down the line that would have allowed them to give him a big contract without it counting so much against the cap? Because I don't really trust Pat Riley either to give him the big contract.
They had a way at the end to give Dwyane Wade a 1-year balloon payment of like $37 million.
But he didn't trust it?
He didn't trust it.
He didn't trust it because he thought Pat's always going to see something else and want to grab
He didn't
this
trust it,
anything.
but why would he? Why would he trust it? Because he's never been the highest paid player. And I can't blame him for thinking that Pat might say something like that in private and then not deliver on it. I can't blame him for thinking that, because Pat Riley is businessman, winning first. You are with me or you're against me. Competition. And, man, Pat Riley will lie. That's not... I learned that sitting at a Make-A-Wish dinner. This is where I learned it. Sitting at a Make-A-Wish dinner where at the trade deadline, Pat Riley said publicly, we're not going to make any moves. And next thing I know, Glenn Rice is getting on a plane and Tim Hardaway is coming here. And the entire dinner of people that had Heat uniforms were gone. Like they were traded during dinner.
Does he trust Mickey? What if Mickey delivered that message?
Trust him more.
Dwyane, we're going to take care. I'm telling you, I'll make sure Pat takes care of you.
I don't know if Mickey delivered that message or not. I don't know. But I know that Wade wasn't buying it from Pat.
It appears that Mickey wasn't going to undercut Pat in this.
No, they're a team. They are partners.
Right.
Those two are partners. See, but that's where this is one of the places that this is fascinating to me. The teams that are united are absolutely Mickey and Pat and LeBron and Bosh and Wade. Those three are united over here. those two are united over here, and everything works out fine when all their interests are aligned. But the moment that the interests aren't aligned, then you see the fractions and you see people take sides. And that is what happened. It all dissolved around Kevin Durant. Everything you saw happen last night became so because of the conflict at the crossroads of Kevin Durant. And I understand how Heat fans are listening to that, and they're like, well, you got to go after Kevin Durant.
Of course you do. I mean, you have to. And you just wonder how Wade doesn't, well, I guess now you know, but I think a lot of people are going to question, how does Wade not allow them to go after Kevin Durant? But there's a lack of trust there.
And the other thing about this is that while all this was happening, man, Pat Riley's got an ego, dude. While all this was happening, Pat Riley's trying at a very critical time in Miami Heat history to see if he could rebuild the team around Dwyane. And Dwyane's vacationing with LeBron, and he's not available. Right. He's not available to help him at all. You don't think that's going to PO Pat Riley? Like, that he's sitting there trying to build the team, and he can't even reach him. And not only can he not reach him, he can't reach him because of who he's with to help him. Like, he's asking for help.
I'm laughing. Hey, where's Wade? We need help. Where's Wade? And he's in the worst possible place he could be for Riley. Vacationing with LeBron James.
Like, that ego, you don't think that ego is going to be stung by that? He's vacationing with the guy who hurt his ego more than I've ever seen Pat Riley's ego hurt by flying him across the country as a chess piece when he wasn't coming back here and was already talking to Sports Illustrated about how they were going to craft the letter about him going to Cleveland. And Pat Riley was used as a pawn to be flown across the country for a fake meeting. For a totally fake meeting. That's who he was vacationing with. And so that becomes human stuff that is just easy to understand on both sides. And I don't blame Dwyane. I mean, it's his vacation. And he's never been the highest paid player on the team. And he ultimately doesn't trust that they're going to take care of him. And, I mean, should he have? I'm asking you, the audience, should he have?
He would have done it for a friend like LeBron, but he wasn't doing that for Durant. In fact, he's publicly feuded with Kevin Durant. Get out of here! I'm not helping you with that guy. I'd do it for my best friend, but not him.
Should he have trusted, Mike? Like,
what's the answer?
Do you blame him for not trusting?
I don't blame him.
That's what I'm saying. So what we were talking about yesterday is the idea of this feels wrong. It feels bad. And when that happens, you've got to place blame. But if I keep asking you guys a question, do you blame Pat Riley? You'd say no. Going after Kevin Durant. And if I ask you, do you blame Dwyane Wade? You'd say no. All you're doing is blaming because it feels bad.
Oh, I think a lot of people, like, if you were to pie chart that, they're going to say we blame Dwyane Wade.
No, but I'm saying the way I just asked, you just asked Mike, do you blame Pat Riley there? And he said no. And I just asked you, do you blame Dwyane for not trusting? And if I keep pushing on that, people will say, no, I don't blame him for not trusting.
Yeah, the only thing that I blame anybody for is not moving Josh McRoberts because he's terrible.
This is Larry Culpepper, and if you love college football as much as I do, enough to invent the playoff, you're welcome. Do yourself a favor and subscribe to the Championship Drive podcast in the Listen tab of your ESPN app. App is short for app.
Don Le Batard.
Aren't you trying to run a homeless guy out of your cul-de-sac?
Yeah.
You want to tell the people that story?
Stugotz.
There's a homeless guy who is living in our community up in Parkland, and I'm aware of him. I've seen him. I've given him a loaf of French bread, but I don't have the heart to kind of go to any, of the management there and rat him out. I feel bad for him. So my strategy is if I tell enough people, perhaps someone will go to management and get him kicked out. But now he's upgraded, man. He's got like a little scooter. Got a basket on it, so now he just drives around the neighborhood. And I saw him this weekend, and half the loaf of French bread that I gave him a week ago is still there in the basket. I told him to eat it already.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on the ticket.
You can text the show on the Coral Springs Automall Nissan text line at 67974.
Every day I marvel at what ESPN built us, the freedom that they give us, the idea, if you don't know where we do this show from, we do it at the Clevelander. It's a lot of fun. We're at a bar. The idea that Disney built this entire place at a bar on decadent, in the middle of decadent Ocean Drive, right by the ocean, is absurd enough by itself. But then they give us freedom. Mike, you look like you have breasts.
Not doing much for my self-confidence right now, Dan.
He looks very comfortable in that.
Well, just the way you were sitting. I don't know if you could be on the camera that way, but when you lean over and stuff, does it, yes or no?
I did chest day yesterday.
Okay, it looks.
Yes.
I think it's the outfit that's not flattering, but you
Really?
look like
It's not the massive pecs?
you've got a bosom. So Mike is dressed as Chris Tucker's character in The Fifth Element. But among the things that I'm grateful for that they let us do around here is we just make a mess of things all the time. So right now, Stugotz is on Facebook, and he's just wandering around, and he's doing his own private show within the show. Soon he'll take you to the bathroom and give you hot takes there. But one of the funny things that's happening is Allison is hiding. Allison's got this weird allergy to cameras, which really, this is the bad. I mean, we've got cameras around us all the time. This is a bad place for her to work.
right.
And so she's just hiding from Stugotz all over the Clevelander.
It's annoying because, I get questions and responses and comments, and people want to see Allison.
It's
they want to
weird.
see me and Allison interact. They want to talk to her. And
No, she was
won't do
hiding
it.
from you.
I
I
know.
went outside and I thought she was following me to the bathroom, and she's like, nope, just out here hiding. And so then on top of that, we've got in the studio with us here, and this is just a great backstory. So I was mad at the sales staff at ESPN. I also marvel at that they allow me to rip the sales staff on air and shame them. And in shaming them, I wanted to get stuff sponsored around here. And a listener from South Florida said, okay, I'll sponsor it. And so we just started putting what we thought was his name on our imaging, but we got the name wrong because we're kind of incompetent. So his name's not actually.
These polls are brought to you by Gary in South Florida.
Gary!
Right, so he didn't buy that. He just he offered to buy that.
Yeah. Except his name is Greg.
That's right. We botched that. I don't know why we thought his name was Gary.
Well, the sales staff did that. When they sent me the initial, so Gary called into the sales staff. Well, Greg did. But sales sent me an email saying, hey, would you mind speaking to this gentleman? He's interested in sponsoring the polls. Here's his information. And it said Gary with his phone number. So I called him and I said, hey, Gary. And his response was, it's Greg.
Uh-oh, hold on. Look out. The Kentucky Fried Chickens are restless.
Yo, chicken
I
thigh.
got the email.
It was totally you. You called him Gary several times. To his face, he corrected you. You never made the correction.
I got emails. I got proof.
No, you don't.
Get back in the cage.
I'm going to produce them.
All right. So,
You never will.
regardless.
Right here, I got it.
Lies.
Well, he might actually have the emails because he's a hoarder. How many emails do you have right now?
AOL, I have 350. That's just, that's just unread emails. That's the new email. 350. Gmail's got about 80. So I'm doing okay.
Yeah, you are doing okay. The last I checked in with you, there were thousands.
Well, Dan, that's 350 on AOL. Those are unread emails.
Right. What about total emails, though? Total email.
Oh, in the thousands.
Okay. Yeah. So you haven't cleaned anything up.
No.
Regardless, Gary Gregg is here, and he's hanging out with us. And basically, we pressured. We can't have Disney allowing some guy from South Florida to put his name. I mean, it just cheapens everything. No offense, Gary Gregg. We can't have that happening around here. And so we shamed the sales staff we lit a fire under their.
Gary Gregg actually brought about change, though.
He did?
Yeah.
He's a social instigator. We need to put him in the White House.
A week later, guess who started getting their polls sponsored?
Yes, that's right. Because the sales staff was so ashamed that that we work for Disney. We're a giant radio show, and we got some guy whose name we're getting wrong sponsoring our stuff.
The way it went was we can't sell it to Gary. So we were like, okay, we'll just give it to him then. And then they had to sell the event.
Right. So we started giving him the stuff for free, even though it wasn't his name. We need to do that again. Anytime we need money, it's our version of internet panhandling. It's go fund us. Go fund me. So the other thing from last night that makes you understand why all of that happened is, would you give what you saw last night for 3 years, 4 years? Would you give?
No, I would have offered him exactly what they offered him.
I would give what I've seen this season. That long, especially if he's learned how to shoot threes.
Oh no, but I'm not even talking about the 5 for 17. I'm talking about the way it looked.
Looked old.
No, it looked old. It was on the back end of a back-to-back, though.
Of course,
but that's part of the deal.
There's going to be a lot of those.
No, I totally understand. It's just hard for me to separate how good he's looked this season so far.
No, but answer my question. Would you give him the 3 or 4 years?
Not what I saw last night. No, not what I saw last night. But I'm just generally confused. Whiteside had a 20-20 game, and I left infuriated.
Oh, well, I think one of the things that's in play here, we can agree on this, right? They don't have anyone out there who can be your best player and have your team be good.
Correct.
That they've got a lot of guys that if your team is good, they've got to be your 3rd or 4th best player, Whiteside included.
Can Whiteside be your 2nd best player?
Not really.
No.
I mean, maybe, but right? You understand what I'm saying. They don't 100%. Have anybody out there.
They don't have a number 1, man.
They don't have a number 1, and it doesn't feel like on a good team they have a number 2 either.
I think that's fair.
At the end of that game, where were they going? Winslow for 3. Like, get out of here. I mean, I don't think that's what Spoelstra wanted.
It was good to see Josh Richardson get into some sort of rhythm after that Goran Dragic injury, though.
But okay, in your most hopeful mind, though, do you see anybody out there that you see 2, 3, 4 years from now being the best player on a good team or a great team?
Not on a good team.
No.
So you do what?
I could see Whiteside being, you go get a star. I could see Whiteside being the 2nd player in a couple of years.
But that's what they were trying to do. That's where it broke apart. They were trying... And they didn't feel like Wade was going to help them get the next one. Because if they swing and miss on Durant, they're going to go after another one. You need to go get a guy who could be the best player. You need to make Hassan Whiteside your 2nd, 3rd, or 4th best player. That's where and that's why I don't think Dragic is going to last here. I think that's why they're going to trade Dragic, because they're going to do everything they can to get a player that is better than Hassan Whiteside, that can be your number 1 player on a good team.
I got to tell you, the more I'm thinking about it, it's really disappointing that there was a chance to get Kevin Durant, and Durant was interested, and it could have been Durant and Wade and Whiteside and Dragic, and that team's good enough to get out of the Eastern Conference Finals and prevent LeBron from winning his championship in Cleveland, and Wade was unwilling to do it. It's disappointing. I understand it. It's just disappointing coming from a guy for his entire career would do things like this. He would have done it for LeBron, and he wouldn't do it for KD and Riley. And it's disappointing, man, because that would have been a really fun team to watch and a fun thing to watch.
And just because they don't have a player on their team that looks like they could be the best player on a good team, that doesn't mean they can necessarily have a bad team. Look at the Atlanta Hawks for 20 years. They didn't have any of those guys. They were making all-star games, but you wouldn't point to any of them and say, that would be the best player on a really good team. The Celtics, Isaiah Thomas, you can point to him and say, that's the best player on a good team. So you can still be a good team. But I feel like this year's just about asset building, and Hassan Whiteside can maybe he's not the answer, but maybe what he can fetch you can be.
A texter writes in, and I don't think I agree with this, Josh Richardson and Winslow can become Lowry and DeRozan.
No.
I don't see that. They can be really good players. I don't see that. I mean, Lowry is an all-star. DeRozan's an all-star.
Yeah, I don't see anybody scoring. Out of those two, I don't see anybody scoring the way that DeRozan can score.
DeRozan had started this season with 6 straight. He's made a jump. DeRozan's gotten better, and he's 6 straight 30-point games.
Lowry started for the Eastern Conference in the All-Star game.
I don't really get the comparison because they're just such different skill sets, too. Right. They don't remind me anything of each other.
You can see growth, but I see a whole lot of complementary pieces out there, and that team doesn't look very good. I mean, they've beaten Sacramento, wheezing in overtime, and they won a game at Orlando, and they haven't looked, and they looked good for one half against Charlotte, and that's all the feel good they've given you this year. Because Chicago coming in here on a back-to-back on that night when Wade gives you nothing and you're still losing at home.
The listless performances that they put up against Oklahoma City and Chicago, considering how fresh this Heat team is, they haven't had a difficult schedule. They haven't played many games in the last 10 days. And to put up those performances, it's a big red flag.
But they do need Richardson to be that last night.
Yeah, it's good to see. And maybe you're encouraged, obviously, I don't think Dragic is going to make it throughout the year. here either.
There's no chance. I haven't talked to anybody about this. I'm just speculating. But given the way Riley is, given how restless he is, given everything that we just said, I think there's a 0% chance that Goran Dragic. I mean, maybe they can't get anything for him. So I shouldn't say 0% because maybe they can't get anything for him. But I think I would guess that he is going to spend the entire season on the trade market, dangling him to try and get something.
It's so funny what we do with Tyler Johnson because we're so desperately hoping Josh Richardson can just put up the games that Tyler Johnson is because we're so much more comfortable with the way that Josh Richardson looks at 6'6" than Tyler doing it. But Tyler's taking the jump.
Are you guys buying on this texter who writes in that Tyler Johnson looks like Pembroke Pines?
Scott Burnside, ESPN.com here on the latest edition of Hockey Today, the podcast. We hear from Henrik Lundqvist of the New York Rangers. Trevor Daley of the Stanley Cup champion Pittsburgh Penguins stops by. So does Charlie Coyle of the Minnesota Wild.
Don Le Batard.
You check out the Heat last night, Boa?
Showtime Willie, Magruder strokes.
Yeah. The guy's good. I'm serious. He's legit good. Showtime Reed.
Stugotz.
I don't even know his first name.
Showtime Willie. His first name is Showtime.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on the ticket.
Stugotz has been validated. He checked his email. It was the fault of ESPN sales. They were calling Greg Gary. It is not his fault. It is not his fault that he is easily influenced, and he has no conviction in his own facts. So he made the listener Gary as well, based on a sales call. A texter writes in, I think Josh Richardson could be a really good two-way player. I don't think there's any doubt he's going to be a really good two-way player. Guillermo, how did you experience that game last night?
I didn't watch the game last night. I told you I wasn't going to watch it. I checked in occasionally to see the score, but I wasn't watching it.
I mooed for you.
Thank you, Stugotz.
You got it.
He did. He was at the game, mooing and hissing.
Was it a good game?
It was okay.
Yeah.
Right.
What happened at the end? I thought there was something. Dwyane Wade and Justice, something happened. He fell out of bounds or something. What happened?
Home cooking happened. That's what happened.
Well, what happened?
Well, they gave Wade a call because they wanted Wade to win the game.
They gave Wade a call. The ball went out of bounds. The Heat were down 2. Chicago was inbounding with like 13 seconds left, and it should have been Heat ball.
And were all the idiots saying thank you when that happened?
No. Thank you, Dwyane. Oh, thank you for falling out of bounds.
Dummies.
Embittered Guillermo is so strange. Like what?
So sometimes you can be thankful and sometimes you can't. I don't get it. You're cheering for. I heard that they were cheering for him every time he scored, which was like, what did he get? Like 6 points or something? And I saw one of them. I did see a highlight where they just handed him the ball and he dunked it. So that doesn't
Jimmy
count.
Butler. That didn't count.
Those
That's
don't
right.
count.
Jimmy Butler on a fast break just gave him the ball as a gift.
So there wasn't much cheering then if he only scored like 3 baskets.
Well, the most moving moment was when they played a video montage. Is that the only video montage that they played last night? I thought they were going to do it every break, and they just did it one time.
It was the first time out, right? And I was thinking to myself, wow, all the years he put in, 3 championships, got LeBron here, Finals MVP, and that's it. That's all you get at the
wanted
end?
more. I wanted more for him, but you also don't want to turn your home arena into their arena throughout the game. Like during the timeout, the Bulls were distracted by the video montage. The Bulls were moved by it. Dwyane was moved by it. Dwyane came out and saluted the fans, and it was a really nice moment that felt wrong to me.
All of it felt wrong.
All of it felt wrong.
Yeah.
Stugotz had a couple of different observations during the game yesterday.
It was, Mike, I wonder if you noticed this. When Wade came out for the opening tip, you expected, like, nice, embracing with Winslow and Dragic and Whiteside, although Whiteside was kind of quick. Dragic, I think, got the best hug. Winslow got kind of that, fatherly type thing. And then he approached Luke Babbitt, who he had never seen before. And I think he was scared of him. And he just shuffled on to the next guy.
You point out the Winslow thing. They had a very interesting dynamic that entire game. I don't know if you saw that part where Dwyane sort of shoved his arm off of him. And I thought that was like a teaching moment.
Oh, I thought all of that was fascinating from the perspective of how cruel young and old can be in sports, because Wade couldn't do much against Winslow because Winslow is a super young athletic version of strength and size and the new model and the next model, and Dwyane's not those things anymore. Dwyane used to be that, but that's not Dwyane's game anymore. So I thought, to me, seeing Winslow play Wade made me think, you can't pay Wade because every team has something like that young coming for him next. And yeah, that's always interesting to me, like that ecosystem of young versus old. Wade has been using the phrase raised Spo.
Right.
He raised Spo. Spo was, fetching balls for him and cutting film for him.
Wade's still not comfortable with this. Like, obviously, last night, that post game, like, he's just not comfortable with how it all played out.
Well, I think about how weird.
He's sad.
Think about how weird this has to be for Wade. Not just the last 14, 13 years, but specifically those 4 years of insanity that were the most fun South Florida sports has ever known. Now, imagine this, what you were saying. After all of that, you're looking at the pathetic video that they put together before the game that's got Josh McRoberts on it and a bunch of people you don't recognize, and they're trying to make it the music video that's cool and fun that used to have Shane Battier and Ray Allen and Chris Anderson in it as like the 9th and 10th guys. And now he's walking across the court, and he sees this dirty looking guy with a bad haircut. And walks up. It's got to be like something out of, I don't know, what, some sort of surreal movie. Not Eyes Wide Shut, but kind of. And he's looking at Babbitt, and it's like, wait, are you me? Are you me now? For this team wearing this uniform, wait, they're using you to be me?
Or maybe he looks at Dwyane Wade like that.
Yeah,
yes,
definitely
right.
Waiters.
Well, Waiters, you're me, and there's a Babbitt on the team?
No, Waiters is absolutely, in terms of just physique and everything, Waiters is the guy who's the discount version of Wade. But I like it better visually in terms of confusing, making it Babbitt. Wait a minute.
They replaced me with you?
Wait a minute. Where'd they get you? They didn't pay me, and they went cheap at my position with you? Who are you? What are you?
That was the other, I don't want to say it was a funny moment. It was a sad moment, Mike. I'm standing next to Dan. On the scoreboard, they'll always have the 5 that are out there, right? They'll have the last name, how many points they have. And I'm like, man, Dan, a couple of years ago, the last time I was there, it read James, Bosch, Wade, Battier, and Allen at times, okay, let's just say. And last night, all I saw was Babbitt. The only name I saw on the scoreboard was Babbitt.
Does Babbitt look dirty?
Oh, yeah.
He looks crazy. Yeah, he's got the crazy eyes.
Dirty.
He looks dirty and crazy.
Hygiene.
Yes.
Yes, crazy dirty.
Yes.
I see what you're doing there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's the hair. It's the hair.
Because he's not actually dirty, right?
I don't know.
I'm not certain.
Put it on the poll, Guillermo. Does Babbitt look dirty? Unclean? And then follow that up with, is it the hair?
Spo articulated this at the post game. He really messed up by not putting Udonis. Really messed up. Because that would have been cool, and I would have loved to have seen Dwyane try to go into the paint, and UD would absolutely hard foul him.
Oh, but Dwyane wasn't going into the paint.
No, I know.
No.
But there was a chance, right?
The back-to-back stuff matters. That killed those old Celtics at the end, and now Wade is those old Celtics at the end.
He did play 35 minutes the night before.
Yeah, he didn't look the emotional drain of it. Winslow on him. Winslow, young, 20 years old, bigger, stronger, faster. Winslow is bigger, stronger, faster, younger. And yeah, you can't pay that. You can't pay for Riley's not paying for nostalgia. In fact, they were willing to pay more than they wanted to pay for nostalgia.
You can't do it. I mean, the Lakers did it, and look what happened. But you can't do it in that sport. You could do it in baseball. You could hide Derek Jeter. You could hide certain guys in a lineup. But when it's 5 guys in a court, you can't have the victory lap,
and you can't
man.
be doing it in salary cap sports either. I mean, look at how much better the Lakers look this year already. Like, you cannot. That was all the stuff that happened with Kobe was instructive, man. Look, the Lakers look young and vibrant.
Yeah.
And they looked awful last year. The Lakers were one of the worst teams in basketball, and Kobe was one of the worst players in basketball. And nostalgia is not buying you much when you're losing and your best player is getting all the shots and he looks the way Dwyane did last night.
Correct.
That is not... Now, I know there are mitigating circumstances, the emotion of it and a weird game, and he wanted it to end, but he was either, like, here are your options. You got to think he was super motivated, right?
Yes, of course.
So your options are back-to-back, old. One of your options is not trying, right?
Of course not.
I know, but he looked
old. He looked tired. But he's going to have nights like that. I mean, we saw that for a couple of years down here, so that should surprise no one.
But it's not just missing the shots, Stugotz. It's the quality of shots that he was getting. He couldn't get good shots. No. Like the shots were all crappy jumpers.
He took that transition three. That's not the kind of three he's been making all season long. No rhythm. Like it was like, oh, I'm Steph Curry all of a sudden, and it was just a terrible shot. Yeah, he was just all out of sorts last night.
Stugotz had lined up all game Waite County,
yep,
and D. Waite.
Yep. Had it in my notes.
He had, well, man, your notes were pathetic.
Yeah.
You know that little notebook that you have, the app that's a notebook? Do you still have that? He only had, show that to the people on Facebook here. Do you still have that? He had notes to himself, and all it had on it was D. Waite. Which is, what was the other one that you had? What was the other awful one that you had? Waite County.
Yep, Waite County. I almost pulled that out. And D-Waite.
W-A-I-T.
Yep.
No, that wasn't even the worst one. He had some, what was the other one that you showed me? You showed me some other one.
The Waite Jones?
Waite Jones. Waite Jones. Get that one for nostalgia reasons. Get the city councilwoman. One of the greatest moments in Dwyane Wade's long and distinguished history was at the parade. After the parade, the city councilwoman. We've got 41 seconds left in the show. Let's see how quick Chris Tucker from The Fifth Element can get this. We've got, in this local hour, we've got 30 seconds before we can find the city councilwoman on his computer.
He's calm, collected, has a will to win because his name, of course, is Wade Jones.
Wade. So much, man. I mean, just the what? Ooh.
We're at the height of technology, and Mike had to shake a computer screen to make that come out.
He was like shaking a vending machine. I've done some of that in my life.
Red Hot USC heads to Seattle to face fourth-ranked Washington.
Far left side of the field for the end zone. Jump ball, Darius Rogers. Touchdown, USC.
Coverage begins Saturday at 7 Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.